Happy Royal Rumble season, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dante Turo, and today I hope you have time on your hands because I'm going to be ranking every single Royal Rumble match. You heard that correct. Over the last few weeks, I have gone back and rewatched every single Royal Rumble match, and there's a lot of them. There's 44 to be exact since the first one in 1988. So with all the knowledge that my brain has absorbed over the last few weeks, I figured why not put it to good use and rank every single Royal Rumble match. Before we get started, please make sure to like and subscribe for the love of God, please. I hope you enjoy this video because I put a lot of time into this. Enough wasting time. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Let's do this thing. Starting in 1988, we have the Royal Rumble that was won by Hacksaw Jim Duggan. There were only 20 men in this match, which is something I didn't realize until I went back and rewatched it. It's the first Royal Rumble match, right? You gotta start somewhere. You don't really know where the direction this is going in. You don't know what it could lead to. This doesn't even lead to a championship match. It was just a battle royal. You still had big names like Bret Hart, Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake, all that, but it's the first Royal Rumble. It wasn't anything special. So with that being said, I am gonna put it in average because I don't want to say it's terrible because again, you have to start somewhere. It's nothing you can really compare it to yet. Hacksaw Jim Duggan's a fan favorite. Everyone loved him, so the winner was cool there. We'll say average. Moving on to the 1989 Rumble won by Big John Studd. I believe this match was more star-studded, but they went a step in the wrong direction. I actually think this Rumble was worse. I'm gonna put it under terrible. No offense to Big John Studd or anything like that, but you had Hulk Hogan in there and Macho Man where they had their thing, I felt like in the middle of the match. Then they both got eliminated. And then to me, it was like, well, where do we go from here? Why did they eliminate each other so early? I felt like they could have done that spot later on to keep the star power in the match. Andre the Giant eliminated himself because Jake the Snake took out his snake, which justified. Snakes are, there's nothing cool about snakes, especially that one. You had a bunch of big names and you let them out early. If you kind of dragged it on and kind of let them stay towards the end, it would have been better. In my opinion, 1989, it was terrible. 1990, this Rumble was a whole lot better. Hulk Hogan, am I the biggest fan of him? No, I am not, but after watching this and kind of seeing the crowd reaction and how larger than life he was, I understand why he was pushed so goddamn much. I thought it was really funny when Ultimate Warrior got eliminated by Hulk Hogan and a few other guys, and then Warrior came back in the ring, hit everybody but Hogan, and then left. I thought that was a really funny bit. The ending of the match, Hulk Hogan won after hulking up. He basically just took a finisher. Very appropriate Hulk Hogan. There was a sign or a flag or something that said, Hulk Hogan will live forever. Well, I don't know how that aged, but at the time it was pretty badass. So Hulk Hogan carrying the way here. This was by far the best Rumble to date. Oh, just when you thought they were getting good, they went right back to being terrible. Sergeant Slaughter won the WWE Championship early in the night. You can see the writing on the wall. When Hogan was in the match, it was like, oh, they're going to do Hulk Hogan, the American versus Sergeant Slaughter, the whole blah, 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 blah. It was just a classic Hogan win. Kind of an underwhelming Royal Rumble. I didn't really have too much fun with it. You had Bret Hart, Undertaker, British Bulldog, Jake Roberts, Jimmy Snuka, Hogan, Mr. Perfect, Neidhart. You had big names in there, but Hogan, 90s, I get it. Again, he was at a whole nother level, but it's predictable and the match wasn't really that good anyway, so it's going in terrible. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. 1992 is the first one going in the GOAT tier, and this was my first time watching the 92 Royal Rumble. I've seen clips, I've seen different like pieces of the match, whatever. Obviously, Ric Flair being the highlight here, coming in at number 3, I believe. Comes in, it's for the WWE Championship, wins the WWF Championship. I keep swapping between WWE and WWF. That might happen a few more times up until we get to the point where it officially changes, but bear with me. I'm also reading off notes. I don't know if I mentioned that before. This is a long video, guys, so again, bear with me. I hope your popcorn's really good right now and your soda is tasting awfully fine. One of the biggest highlights of this match wasn't in the ring, but outside. Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon were electric on commentary. Could have been one of the best commentated Royal Rumble matches ever. Bobby the Brain was insane. The ending to the match was, you know, it was Hogan, Luger, Rick, and then Hogan, you know, helped eliminate Luger because Luger eliminated him. I didn't like the way it ended. It was, you know, Ric Flair had an impressive performance. It seemed like he had a little bit of a help at the end. And I get it, dirtiest player in the game. I'm not going to let that ruined the match itself. The match was fantastic, and it definitely does deserve to be considered one of the best Royal Rumble matches of all time. 1993, the very first year that the Royal Rumble winner gets a title shot at WrestleMania. I was curious when that kind of came into play, but 1993 is the year that it happens. Ric Flair comes in at number 1. I love the idea of the winner the year prior coming in early on. A few things from this match: Mr. Perfect, Ric Flair had a little feud going on. I did some research here going into it as well, so I kind of knew the lore behind certain things. Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, competed in a loser leaves Raw or leaves WWE match the next night, so it was cool seeing Mr. Perfect eliminate Flair and then also beat him. Undertaker was fucking shit up in the Rumble, and then Giant Gonzalez came in, and that spot lasted way too long. It was just like, it was kind of confusing. Undertaker was like lying in the corner until Paul Bearer came out, and then he went to the back. It was super weird. And then the ending to the match, Yokozuna and Macho Man, just like Macho Man going for the pin and then gets thrown over the ropes, gets the toss. Yokozuna is a very believable winner. I'm not mad that he won, but like Owen Hart was in the match too, and I know Yokozuna faced Brett. Imagine if it was Owen Brett. Would have been so much better. I did not enjoy this match. I thought it was terrible. Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect went out way too early. If they lasted till the end, maybe would have been better. Maybe if Taker lasted longer, would have been better. But 1994, the infamous double winners, Lex Luger and Bret Hart. I'm just going to put it in average to start off. It was average. It was cool seeing Rick, Scott Steiner start off the match, kind of a tag team brothers, kind of getting that aspect of every man for themselves type of thing. Diesel was great in this match. And one thing that I want to point out, and this is something that goes on for a little bit, is how anticlimactic some of the eliminations are. You have freaking Macho Man who's eliminated while Doink and Dink, the clown, were coming out to the ring. It's like we were focused on that, and Macho Man gets thrown. It's like, oh, Macho Man got thrown out during that. It's like, well, I wish it was treated as a bigger deal. I feel like that's more important than Doink and Dink coming to the ring. But that's obviously something that you learned from. They eventually did, but it was something that I noticed, that there were a lot of big names that would get eliminated throughout the years, and it was just very anticlimactic. Obviously, the classic double elimination ending between Bret and Lex kind of took a little bit to kind of come to a conclusion there of who won and all that stuff, but both men won the match, co-winners, first time and only time it's ever happened. So I don't know if we'll see something like that again, but for what it's worth, it makes it interesting. So we're gonna put it in average. The 1995 Rumble was won by Shawn Michaels, and as great, as amazing as his performance was in that match, the match itself wasn't as amazing. I actually think the match itself was average. Shawn Michaels, British Bulldog, both starting at 1 and 2 and end the match together. Shawn was amazing. I don't have to go on and tell you how good at wrestling Shawn Michaels is, and honestly with the sweet chin music to Kevin Owens the other night, can still probably go in the ring. But besides the whole Shawn and British Bulldog starting and ending thing, it was pretty underwhelming. This just seemed like a showcase for those two. There were parts where they were throwing guys over as they were coming in, so it was just those two one-on-one. You had guys come in that changed it up, but for the most part, like 75% of the people in this match were underwhelming and not believable to win. I thought the ending to the match was cool with, British Bulldog thought he threw him over, Shawn one leg on the floor. They played the music, which I think was the best part because that's what makes it super believable. Shawn comes back in, throws him over, sets up him versus Diesel, which makes sense. So I think it's an average Rumble. It could have been better, but the whole thing was just built around Shawn and Bulldog, which is fine, but doesn't make it anything above average. Did somebody say back to back? Because that was stupid. But 1996, Shawn Michaels wins this one again, goes back to back. Shawn Michaels, MVP of Royal Rumble matches. I'll say it. We call him Mr. WrestleMania. But what about Mr. Royal Rumble? He is, any single Royal Rumble match that I have seen Shawn Michaels in, he was one of the stars of it, and he definitely was here. He was great, but the match, it wasn't. I feel bad for Shawn because he is a great winner. It's like he performed his ass off and he looks great, but the match itself is underwhelming. It's just another year of like the participants weren't believable. Steve Austin made his debut, the ringmaster, but guess what? He accidentally got eliminated. I think he was supposed to go to the final four, but he accidentally got eliminated earlier in the match. Maybe that would have made things better because they had to, change things up, obviously. Most of the match was boring. Shawn Michaels felt huge, though. Shawn Michaels, this felt like a big win, exciting moment, winning back-to-back, sets up Shawn. Bret. Shawn in this was amazing. Everything else, not not great. Also, first year with theme song, so I wish that helped a little bit more, but it didn't. So we're gonna put it in terrible. I feel bad, and what was amazing about videos like this and rankings like this is that this is my opinion. This is all subjective, right? So I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say and whether you think like the 96 Rumble was terrible or not. So make sure to put in the comments what you think of what I'm doing so far here with this ranking, where you would put matches in. And again, your favorite Royal Rumble matches. So let's move on. 1997, Stone Cold Steve Austin getting his lick back from the year prior. Didn't get accidentally eliminated this time. He was dominant. 10 eliminations from the 5 spot, going all the way, winning the match. It was a star-making performance for him. Between Stone Cold sitting on the turnbuckle, checking his watch, waiting for guys to come out, or lying on the ground waving them, it was perfect. Everything Austin did here is perfect. Even his reaction to when Bret Hart came out. They had a match at Survivor Series the year prior. What's interesting with this is Steve Austin didn't get a title match. He was in a Fatal 4-Way match at In Your House. Didn't win. Fought Bret Hart instead. Arguably better off for Steve Austin because it was the infamous double turn. Steve Austin bleeding out in the sharpshooter. Watching this match kind of made me realize how big of a role Bret Hart played in Steve Austin's, come up. But the first 2/3 of the match was kind of underwhelming. Underwhelming maybe is kind of harsh, but Austin really carried it. Austin won in a heel way where the refs didn't see him get eliminated. He comes back in, throws him over the top rope. I'm all for a clever heel finish like this, especially Austin, who had a star-making performance, 10 eliminations, winning this way. I'm cool with. I don't have anything in good yet. I feel like, there's 44 matches, so eventually it's going to fill out, but I originally had it in average, but it really did do a lot for Austin. So I'm going to put it in good because of where it was the start, maybe not the start, but this was a huge chapter, a huge checkpoint in Steve Austin's career. 1988, Stone Cold Steve Austin goes back-to-back in another, it's just an average Royal Rumble match. I feel bad because like Shawn, Stone Cold, like 2 of the biggest names ever, but their Royal Rumble victories aren't anything, well, up to this point, anything great. This match was, Cactus Jack, Mankind, Dude Love, Mick Foley showing up as all 3 of his characters was could be one of the best Rumble spots ever. Goldust showed up in silver with red face paint, blue hair, and was in lingerie, and he eliminated Mankind. So that was quite the performance. Jerry Lawler, killer on commentary, but The Rock was in it. He had a great performance. Him and Stone Cold were the biggest names, and there were a few other big names in there, but it was very average. They did this whole thing where Stone Cold, they're waiting for him to come out. He finally did, and I feel like that could have dragged it on a little bit more. And when I say dragged on, it kind of sounds like a bad thing, but I feel like they could have waited and, they could have felt more important. And you know what wasn't average? The 1999 Royal Rumble. This was fucking terrible. Mr. McMahon winning the Royal Rumble is quite the decision. Stone Cold came at 1, Miss McMahon came in at 2. My God, was this man juiced up. The concept of it was interesting. It's different, right? It's a cat and mouse chase. Austin's going after McMahon. They were at one point going into the crowd. They were in the bathroom, the concessions. I wish they did more of that because they did that. It was cool. It was fun. And then all of a sudden, Austin was out and McMahon's on commentary. And it's like, okay, what are we doing now? I wish it was just them chasing each other around the arena, go outside, backstage, wherever you want. Have them get arrested and then have them show up again at the end. How would they get out of the jail? I think they could have played into that more. It was funny seeing Vince do commentary in his normal clothes and stuff after all that. So the idea was there, but Vince winning, stupid. Also tough when you know from the very beginning one of those 2 guys is going to win. Either Stone Cold is going to go 3 in a row or Vince is, or the fucking boss of the company is going to win. 2000 Royal Rumble. Shout out to The Rock finally getting his Royal Rumble win. This was one of those matches where The Rock is The Rock. It's he's such a big name where he doesn't need a Royal Rumble win to get a championship match at WrestleMania at this point right now. He's a made man, all this and that. But you think of the biggest stars, you look back at the biggest stars in history, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, they all have Royal Rumble wins. The Rock need a Royal Rumble win. As questionable as the finish was with The Rock actually getting eliminated and not the Big Show. Technically, the Big Show should have won that one. I thought this was a good match. I thought this was a really cool, like filled with, they had Too Cool doing the dance spot with Rikishi. I do wish Rikishi lasted a little bit longer because he started off super strong. I would have liked to see that have gone on a little bit longer. The match did have its boring moments, and it was somewhat predictable with The Rock, but as predictable as it was deserving. The Rock deserved this. 2001, admittedly, another Royal Rumble that I never watched in full, and I don't know why it took me so long, because my God, this could be the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. First of all, Jeff Hardy comes in at number 1. That's all that needs to be said here. That is the only reason why it's on. No, I'm kidding. There was a lot of different things that happened in this match, where there was a comedy part of it with Drew Carey coming in and watching the Hardys eliminate each other. That was kind of deflating. You had the whole hardcore aspect of it, where you had fucking bowling balls being rolled around the ring, hitting guys in the dick and balls. Kane comes in, says enough of that, funny business, goes apeshit, eliminates everyone. This match was just mixed with a bunch of fun things, right? Like just so many stories being told. Like I said, the hardcore stuff, the comedy stuff. You had Kane dominating. He had 11 eliminations, which set the record at the time, held that record for a while. Big Show attacking The Rock, Triple H attacking Austin, the Brothers of Destruction aligning and doing things together. I'm reading off my notes right now because I want to make sure I'm covering every great thing that happened in this match. Triple H beat the absolute shit out of Steve Austin. The last 3 guys, Kane, Rock, Austin, was fucking fun as shit. It was done so well. Kane, again, they booked him like a monster. They had him take stunners, chair shots, just to get him eliminated. Third time is the charm for Steve Austin. The first 2 Rumble matches weren't great, but 2001, arguably the best of all time. The 2002 Royal Rumble was a lot more memorable than I remembered, but I do think it's a good match. It is above average. Triple H wins this one, of course, returning from his injury. He looked amazing for one reason or another. But this match, it was kind of boring to start. It took a little bit to get going. Undertaker came in. That changed immediately. They had Jeff, Matt, and Lita, Team Extreme, trying to take out The Undertaker, and they were unsuccessful. But then Maven eliminates The Undertaker, and I forgot, first of all, I forgot how long the segment was, because not only, like, Maven eliminates Taker, Taker gets his lick back, Maven gets eliminated, but I forgot, like, how long it went. Like, Taker taking him out to, like, the concession, throwing him in the whole popcorn thing, like, he absolutely beat the shit out of Maven. I was like, okay, Taker was definitely backstage saying, I will give you the elimination, I'll give you that moment, but I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna get mine afterwards. I'm gonna beat the absolute shit out of you. And that's what he did. Mr. Perfect return, lasted until the Final Four, which I thought was cool. You had Angle, Austin, Perfect, Triple H in the Final Four. It's just a great comeback story for Triple H winning. You could have had a few options there. Of course, you could have given Austin the 4th one, but I think Triple H, that people kind of knew that was going to happen. It was done well. I didn't realize that the 2003 Royal Rumble saw the Royal Rumble debut of some of the biggest names of all time, like Rey Mysterio, John Cena, Batista, and Brock Lesnar. Brock won the match in his debut, which is pretty damn cool. I'm going to put it in good. I'm going to explain why in a second. This was just a great wrestling Royal Rumble. You had guys like Edge, Mysterio, Chavo, Christian. Chris Jericho was in there. Tommy Dreamer did his, hardcore bit, which I did wish lasted longer. I loved Brock Lesnar winning because they picked someone that wasn't a quote-unquote star. Like, you had winners like Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair even. He wasn't in WWF, but you know who Ric Flair was. Brock Lesnar was a risk. Like, he's this young guy, and they pulled the trigger. It worked out, and I thought this was a really good match. I do think the finish was kind of weak. I do wish The Undertaker wasn't distracted by Batista, so he had Lesnar take her a little bit longer. Would have made Brock look a little bit stronger. That's something that I thought could have been done a little bit better as well. Before I get into the 2004 Royal Rumble, I just want to clarify something. We are going to be talking about Chris Benoit, who is a fucking disgusting human being. He was the winner of 2004's Royal Rumble. This was one of the best Royal Rumbles, at least up to this point that I saw. It is excellent. Chris Benoit felt like a true underdog coming in at number 1, eliminating the Big Show at the end. Orton coming in at number 2 as well, foreshadowing their match at SummerSlam a few months down the line. You had the bit with The Undertaker's gong distracting Kane. You had Mick Foley taking Test out backstage. Him and Randy Orton did their thing. Goldberg came in at number 30. He probably delivered what to me, looked like probably top 3 most painful spears of all time to Nunzio. God bless that guy. The last 6 was Angle, Benoit, Jericho, Cena, RVD, and Big Show. Great ending to the match. Perfect ending to a Royal Rumble match. You know, Benoit starting at 1, taking out the biggest guy in the match. It was an excellent match. 2005, what an excellent Royal Rumble this was. Not just because the Animal Batista, one of my favorite superstars of all time, won, but because this was a very memorable Royal Rumble. John Cena and Batista felt like stars from the second that they entered this match, and it was so cool seeing these young guys come in and get their shine and go until the very end. The final 4 of Cena, Batista, Edge, and Mysterio was awesome. It was funny because Batista, Cena, and Edge all won something big at Mania. Edge won the Money in the Bank. Cena won the WWE Championship, and Batista won the World Heavyweight Championship. But the ending to it is so memorable. Even if you haven't watched the full match, or even if you're not a big wrestling fan, you've probably come across the video of Vince McMahon blowing up both of his quads entering the ring, sitting down on the ring, making the calls. He can't stand up. They had to restart the match. Batista eliminates Cena because they both went over at the same time. Batista became a star here. So did Cena, but Batista, because he won the match here, makes it excellent. The 2006 Royal Rumble. I thought this was a good Royal Rumble. The story here was Rey wanting to win and paying tribute to his dear friend Eddie Guerrero, who did pass away a few months prior. So it was emotional, you know, throughout the match, right off rip. He comes out in Eddie's lowrider. Crowd was behind Rey the whole time. Again, coming at number 2, true underdog story. Final 3 was great. Orton, Triple H, Rey eliminating both of them, winning the match. I thought it was a good Royal Rumble match. Great winner. And, you know, I'm going to do a winner tier list in the next few days, like I mentioned earlier, so keep your eye out on that. But the match itself was good. But the whole story with Rey Mysterio winning for Eddie was fantastic. 2007 is the year that we saw the first ever winner come in at number 30. That was The Undertaker. And this was the very first Rumble that I remember watching. There might be some bias here, some nostalgia factor here, but more than half the entrants were actually former or future world champions, including ECW. But just like that alone is cool, because now you have guys that are believable to win the match. And it's like, oh, this guy was a former world champ, or he's done this and that. He probably is in a good running to win this thing. One of my favorite calls of the night was the commentators. I believe it was Michael Cole and JBL. Great call. He comes in, takes everyone out, and the clock starts ticking. And Michael Cole or someone goes, the power, the strength, who can stop the Great Khali? Absolutely nobody. And I think JBL goes, I'd have second thoughts about coming out next. And then The Undertaker comes out. And then the commentators go, maybe there is someone, because yes, there was someone that could take out the Great Khali. It was a great hype up. Great RKO, Taker, HBK coming in at the final 4. Edge and Randy Orton I think they were World Tag Team Champs at the time, but there was some animosity there. Shawn Michaels came in, eliminated both Edge and Orton, setting up Taker and HBK for the final few minutes of the match. It was kind of funny how Shawn Michaels did lose here, but did get the actual main event spot. But this was fantastic. This was foreshadowing their future WrestleMania matches, of course, but this was a great Royal Rumble. And again, there might be some bias, some nostalgia for me, but I love this match. I thought it was excellent. And what I think is better than excellent is the 2008 Royal Rumble. John Cena returning. Oh my God. This arguably might be my favorite match of all time. Not Royal Rumble, my favorite match. This, I believe, could have been, no, it wasn't. It was, I think, the first pay-per-view that me and my great childhood friend, one of my best friends, Ryan, our parents would purchase the pay-per-views for us, and we'd get together and watch, and we kind of take turns. I think this was the first one that we did together, that we watched together, and I just remember losing my fucking mind when John Cena came out. It's one of the coolest moments in WWE history. John Cena coming back after 2 months, 3 months, when he was scheduled to be out for almost a year or whatever the hell it was. Such a great moment. Triple H's reaction to him coming out. Batista, Triple H, Cena ending at the 3 biggest stars in the company. Taker and Shawn Michaels starting at 1 and 2 was a great callback from the year before. You had cool bits throughout. Snuka, Roddy Piper. Unbelievable Royal Rumble. Again, highlighted by Cena returning at 30. 2009, we saw Randy Orton win the Royal Rumble, and what I thought was I have it in good, right? But I think it is very good. I'm not putting it in A. I think it's a high B. Randy Orton wins this one, coming in at number 8. And one thing I really loved about this match, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before because I've been talking a lot, so I'm forgetting if I said certain things or not. I don't like it when stars come out super late and they kind of load up the back end of the Rumble. I like it when they kind of spread it out a bitch. If they spread it out. Triple H came in at 7, Randy Orton came in at 8. And those two lasted till the very end. I like that because you always have stars in the ring, keeps it entertaining, keeps it this and that. There was this Rumble especially, there were not a lot of eliminations early on. I think at one point there was like 13 people in the ring. Pretty crazy. You saw Rob Van Dam return, which was awesome. Santino Marella had the fastest elimination of all time. This was just a really good buildup of Randy Orton and legacy. Made them look unstoppable and feel great. It was a good pick to have Randy Orton win. His very first Royal Rumble match win. I thought it was very, very good. Not quite excellent, but very good. 2010, honestly, I forgot how good it was. I forgot how memorable it was and how many things happened because it gets highlighted by Edge's return, his first one, which is crazy because both the Royal Rumble wins that he has, he came back from an injury. But besides Edge's return, there were so many other like important, cool things that happened. Like CM Punk's straight edge society bit where he'd throw someone over, get on the mic and talk to the crowd, saying he'd want to save someone. Zack Ryder came and goes, "You got potential. You got potential. Let me save you." That was a great bit. I think up until Triple H came in, I think that went up. Triple H came in at number 8. That's when that whole thing stopped. Another huge thing that happened in this match was HBK Shawn Michaels, his desperation to win this match so he can face The Undertaker at WrestleMania because The Undertaker will not give him a rematch from WrestleMania 25. So the only way Shawn Michaels can get The Undertaker, because Taker is the World Heavyweight Champion, is winning the Rumble, challenging him for the belt. Shawn Michaels came up short. The story being told throughout the whole thing was awesome. Him and Edge are on the apron. He sweet chin music's Edge back into the ring. He's holding on. Batista hits him over. Shawn freaks out. I was gonna say super kicking. That's not correct. He was sweet chin musicing refs, freaking out, all this and that. I thought this was an excellent match, highlighted by Edge's return. But there's so many other great things that happened in this Rumble. I just think we focus on the one thing and forget how many other amazing things happened. 40 men in a Royal Rumble match is far too many. I'm putting it in average. I'm giving it the benefit because there were some good moments this match, but 40 men, that's 10 too many. You know what's even worse than 40 is 50. Why would WWE should never do that? They'd be stupid if they ever did that. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the winner of this match, Alberto Del Rio. The match itself was, you had some cool moments. You had the Core versus the Nexus. You had CM Punk and the Nexus dominating, eliminating everyone. Cena came in and tossed everyone over. Booker T returned. That was cool. John Morrison did his like parkour Spider-Man save on the barricade. Santino Marella swerved everyone at the end. He hit Alberto with the Cobra, and you know, for a split second we thought maybe Santino Marella was going to WrestleMania and main eventing. But Alberto Del Rio did eliminate Santino Marella. I'm happy they just tried this once and they were done with it because it was 2012. I feel bad for Sheamus. I feel bad because this Rumble was terrible. The star power in this match was so limited. The biggest names of the match, besides Sheamus who won, were Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, and The Big Show. Do you want to guess what numbers they came in at? 28, 29, and 30. Knowing you have your 3 biggest names, like those are the 3 biggest names, why you didn't just spread them out? Like have one come in like per 10. So like have someone come in the first 10, between 10 and 20, and then between 20 and 30. I don't know what the thinking was here. The only other big names in this match I'd say are Wade Barrett, Jack Swagger, Sheamus that I mentioned, Dolph Ziggler, and The Miz. And I'm being very generous when I say I'm stars here. The surprises were lackluster. It wasn't a great Rumble. 2013. This was as predictable can get. So Cena lost the year before to The Rock. This is a story about him kind of, getting back to the main event of WrestleMania. He had an interesting year prior, just kind of working his way back up and setting up the rematch. There was a few moments in between, like Cody Rhodes and Goldust had their interaction. Kofi had a great save. He landed on Tensai's back, so that kept him in the match. Chris Jericho and Dolph Ziggler each looked like stars. They started the match and they almost finished the match. I don't know if I mentioned Chris Jericho returned at number 2 as well. Just kind of predictable, not as star-studded as it could have been. 2014. Uh-oh. This was a big uh-oh. I'll get this out of the way. 2014 was not as bad as people make it out to seem. The reason why this match is considered one of the worst matches or one of the worst events in WWE history is because there was this big dark cloud over everything. Over this match, over everyone in the match, because a certain Daniel Bryan was the one that everyone wanted to win, but didn't even enter the match, which is so confusing and baffling to me. Like, why don't you just have the guy enter the match? You don't have to have him win. Just have him enter the match and make a story out of it if someone else eliminates him. But the fact that they didn't even have Daniel Bryan in this match is insane. Like, the story made sense. Batista coming back and winning made sense. I don't think the match was even that bad. I thought it was CM Punk. It was his last match, unfortunately, for what we'd see, what we know now is 9 years away from WWE, or 9, almost 10 years away from WWE. Roman Reigns had a star-making performance. He had 12 eliminations, which was the most at the time. Killed Dolph Ziggler with a spear. Sheamus returned after 6 months, looked great. I don't know why they made the decisions that they did when it came to Daniel Bryan and Batista. And even poor Rey Mysterio. They had Rey coming at 30 and no one cared. He got booed, and Batista was supposed to be the face. People were cheering Roman Reigns at the end. They wanted him to win over Batista because we all knew Batista. As soon as Rey came out at 30, not a single person in that crowd watching at home thought anyone else but Batista was going to win. It was very baffling. What's even more baffling is the 2015 Rumble. I feel bad for Roman because he didn't deserve this. He really didn't. Daniel Bryan at least entered this match. But how the fuck do you make it worse? How do you have the fans turn even more than the year prior? It's a very baffling decision. Daniel Bryan coming back, he had to relinquish the belts and everything, coming back from a serious injury. You treat him like that, and not only that, but then you shove the man who no one wants to win this match and that no one wants to be force-fed down our throats. They have Roman Reigns win this match. And it's just, I mean, this was really the start of what I think is the downfall for Roman Reigns as far as, you know, fans' reaction, because once this happened, there was no saving him. The Rock came out at the end and couldn't save Roman. Now it's like you're pushing the wrong guy. The fans don't want him and they rejected him, especially with what you did with Daniel Bryan. It's like you set Roman Reigns up for failure. It's in the what are we smoking, because it must have been like DMT or something that Vince was smoking, or crack, or I don't know. I actually liked this Royal Rumble. I thought this was good. I was in between good and average, but there was a lot of good, cool things that happened in this match. First of all, it was for the WWE Championship. The story going into it was Roman Reigns had to go in as champion, defend his belt. Roman Reigns versus The Authority. Something that we've never seen before. AJ Styles debuts at number 3. Almost got ruined by the terrible camera work. I mean, I don't know. Kevin Dunn, I believe is that the guy that did the camera? Whoever the hell it was also smoking something that night, because the camera angles for that debut were terrible. I understand, you know, the story of Triple H and Roman Reigns, and Triple H returning and costing Roman Reigns and winning the WWE Championship, setting up their match at WrestleMania 32. It's insanely predictable. You're going to have a nearly 50-year-old man go up against the guy that we all know you're pushing down our throats for the WWE Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. Hindsight 2020, this match was a disaster, but it shouldn't be a hindsight 2020 thing. That should have been we should have seen that coming from a mile away type of thing. I think other people could have won this match. You could have done Lesnar. You could have done Bray Wyatt. You could have done Dean Ambrose, who came in runner-up to Triple H. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing with Roman Reigns. It really is. He deserved, like, as much as some people were bitching about the 4-year run towards the end of it, he deserved that run for all the shit that they put him through. Moving on to 2017, we are getting down to we're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're almost towards the end here. I think there were a lot of really good options that could have, you know, won here. It was actually cool that Orton won because we didn't know who he would challenge, because who was the Universal Champ? It was Kevin Owens as the Universal Champ, and then John Cena just won the WWE Championship, you know, earlier in the night. They could have done Orton Cena. Then the Elimination Chamber came up. Bray Wyatt won the WWE Championship, of course. But putting this on Orton, it's a safe pick, right? Orton is He's Randy Orton. You had Goldberg quickly eliminating Brock Lesnar, which extended their story going into WrestleMania. Of course, now we found out that Goldberg won the Universal Championship. Lesnar, Goldberg had their match, which was good match. Did it have to be for the Universal belt? Absolutely not. Roman eliminating The Undertaker, which set up their WrestleMania match. Big names at the end. Bray, Orton teaming up, Orton eliminating Roman Reigns in a very cool way. The spear going into the RKO was a great spot. Randy Orton, good win here. And let's move on to one of the greatest Royal Rumbles of all time. I'd say recent memory, but of all time. The fourth entry into the GOAT tier category, Shinsuke Nakamura. WWE pulled the trigger on Shinsuke, someone that is not considered, he's a former NXT champion, but not a former world champion. Someone that isn't like a made man. Going back to what I was saying earlier, it was so cool seeing WWE pull the trigger on Shinsuke, considering all the big names they had in the match and they could have rolled with. The fact that they had Shinsuke eliminate Cena and Roman at the end made it feel like such a big deal. And then throughout the match, like you started with Rusev Day. Come on. Are you kidding me? That's an immediate S right away. He couldn't even get into the ring. He kept getting hit from behind. Sheamus threw him in on his birthday, and he gets eliminated by Heath Slater. I don't know if they were trying to break the record. It was 2 seconds, but it was on his birthday. They kept emphasizing that it was his birthday. It was great. Before we get to the end, Rey Mysterio returns at number 27, which was a very unexpected, cool moment. You had the old school versus new school. It was the Roman, Balor, Shinsuke versus Cena, Rey, and Roman. Great ending to the match. Again, Shinsuke eliminating Cena and Roman to win it. And now we have the very first Women's Royal Rumble match in 2018. I thought this was excellent. Trish Stratus, Lita, Michelle McCool, Tori Wilson, Molly Holly, Vicky Guerrero, even Kelly Kelly, Jacqueline, Beth Phoenix, and the Bella Twins all came in. I thought, that's a good selection of older Hall of Fame superstars during this match. I couldn't be happier that Asuka won this match. The only thing I wish is that they made the ending more believable, because when it was Asuka and then the Bella Twins at the end, you knew they weren't going to win. Maybe Nikki, she's a little bit more accomplished than Brie, but you knew Asuka was going to win. Asuka's undefeated. She's unstoppable. And then the ending, Asuka barely connected with Nikki's leg, her knee. It was kind of an anticlimactic ending, but still a great moment. We have the 2019 Women's Royal Rumble match. It's kind of going into the next year's Women's Rumble. Honestly, I think this was a pretty lackluster. The tail end of it was better, but for the most part, I thought it was kind of lackluster. Charlotte came in at 13, but then the next biggest names came in at towards the end of the match. Alexa Bliss was 26, Bayley was 27. Becky was not supposed to be in the match. She lost, actually, earlier in the night to Asuka. It was Lana came out, got attacked. Well, she was already kind of hurt. Nia Jax attacked her. Becky came out saying, I'm going to take her spot, and Finlay put her in. Very cool moment. Comes out on top. I'm going to put that in the good. The ending and Becky winning saved it. If that didn't happen, I think this could have been even terrible. I really wasn't the biggest fan for most of the match, but it did pick up at the end and it was fun. So 2019 men's, we have Seth Rollins coming out on top. He came out at number 10, lasted 43 minutes, had a fantastic performance. He's a good underdog story. It's easy to root for him in this case. The final four was kind of underwhelming, with Andrade and Dolph Ziggler being in there with Seth and Braun Strowman. It's just kind of one of those, you knew neither of those two were going to win. Seth Rollins winning here. You set up the match with Brock Lesnar. It's a safe pick. It's a good match. Nothing crazy, but it's a good match. Moving on to 2020, which featured one of the greatest Royal Rumble matches ever. This match, it could be. It could be the best ever. There was just so much good shit here. First of all, Brock Lesnar, as a WWE champion, comes in, sets the record for most eliminations, taking guys out one by one. You had MVP returning. You have him doing the big boy for Keith Lee. So many good spots. Drew McIntyre, with the help of Ricochet, with one of the biggest, if not the biggest elimination ever, eliminating Brock Lesnar. Setting up, obviously, what would be a Drew McIntyre victory in the Royal Rumble, which would set up a Drew McIntyre match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, which would set up a Drew McIntyre championship win and turning him into one of the faces of the company. Star-making performance by Drew McIntyre. And speaking of star-making performances, he didn't become a star of this match, but he returned as a star. That is Edge. Edge with the greatest, arguably the greatest return, could be the greatest return of all time. The way that music hit and Edge came out of the smoke and you see the emotions on his face, there is nothing that can top that. This match was entertaining. It was emotional. It was unexpected and it was refreshing because we had a winner like Drew. The 2020 Women's Royal Rumble match was a little interesting to me because half the participants were from NXT or Hall of Famers and Santina Marella. I'm cool with NXT and seeing returns and stuff, but it was very like, oh, they didn't use a lot of their main roster people. I don't know if there was like a lot of injuries or it just wasn't that strong at that point, but Beth Phoenix had a phenomenal performance. Lasting 23 minutes. She got cut early on in the back of her head, and she just had the blood in her hair for the rest of it. And it was, I mean, we all know how great Beth Phoenix is. She's a Hall of Famer, but just super cool to see her come back and have the performance that she did. Bianca Belair came in at number 2 and was the Iron Woman. She had 8 eliminations. Shayna Baszler had a very dominant performance. She was the runner-up in this match. I think Charlotte was a safe pick here. Did she need to win? No. But you give it to her. I'm going to put it in good. I think it's a good match. Okay, we are down to our last 8 Rumbles. I really hope you guys are enjoying this. I fucking hope to God you are enjoying this because this is a lot of talking. 2021 Women's Royal Rumble match. We have Bianca Belair winning it. This was the performance for Bianca Belair, which obviously led to her winning the women's belt at WrestleMania. We saw returns like Victoria, which was awesome. Alexa Bliss. I wish they had her do more with the whole Sister Abigail thing. And like she came down, she was like her, not normal self, but she was like, you know, happy, skipping or whatever. And then the lights start to cut out and she's in the middle of transforming. Rhea throws her over and it's like, I don't know. I wish they kind of let that play on a little bit more. I think that would have been a nice little thing to have included, and maybe it could have bumped it up a little bit more. I don't know. But Bianca and Rhea being the final 2, Charlotte was in the final 3 as well. They are both future stars. I believe Rhea got a World Championship match at that WrestleMania anyways, but just both these superstars looked fantastic. Rhea had 7 eliminations. She looked dominant. Rhea, as we all know, she's going to get hers one day. This one belonged to Bianca, and I am putting it in excellent. The 2021 Men's Royal Rumble, guys, I don't know what you guys consider it to be at. I think it is like one of the better Royal Rumbles of all time that does get clouded by the whole Thunderdome era and stuff. Edge coming in at number 1, 11 years to the day that he returned and won his first Royal Rumble and wins. The Iron Man. Him and Randy Orton started 1 and 2. Edge getting his revenge on Orton because Orton is the one that injured him, that caused Edge to miss a few months returning at the Rumble. Orton leaves with an injury, then he comes back in at the very end when we think Edge wins after winning Seth Rollins and hits him with an RKO, fake the injury. Edge still eliminates Randy as Orton tries to eliminate him. We saw a Christian return. It was an excellent Rumble because there were a good amount of believable winners at the end. Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, who returned as well at number 29, Edge, Orton, Braun Strowman. From start to finish, I enjoyed the shit out of it. Really, really cool match. That's why it is an excellent. And what isn't a really cool match is the 2022 men's. And this is the second match and potentially the last match joining the What Are We Smoking? Brock Lesnar lost the WWE Championship earlier in the night because Roman Reigns helped out Bobby Lashley defeat Brock. So Brock loses the belt, and then it's like, oh, here's a good idea. Let's have him enter the Royal Rumble at number 30, and let's have him last only 2 minutes and eliminate everyone, and it's just a buzzkill. Just the decision-making here, like Shane McMahon, what are we doing? Lasting as long as he did and being in the, I don't know if he was in the last 3, he was definitely in the final 4, I think. It was just this didn't need to happen because then Brock wins the Rumble at 30, goes to Elimination Chamber the next month, and just wins back the WWE title. And then him and Roman have a title for title match. This was clearly, and thank God, Vince's last Rumble because this was fucking atrocious. And people also think this match is atrocious. I think I understand where they're coming from. I don't think Ronda Rousey winning or the match itself was terrible. I think it was very average. It was just clouded by Ronda Rousey coming back and winning. And there were just other options. There was just some deflating moments in that match. Like Sasha Banks, she didn't even last 10 minutes. She could have won the damn thing. I don't even know why they had her go out so early. Rhea could have won this. Bianca could have won this. Ronda winning, and it's kind of, I think at that point, people kind of knew Ronda, Charlotte finished. We were setting up for the Ronda, Charlotte match. You could have done a bunch of different things, but that's what WWE did. 2022 is a very forgettable Royal Rumble event. You know what isn't a forgettable Royal Rumble event? That is 2023. And honestly, 2023 and 2024, I'm just going to kind of, I guess, stack it on top of each other. Why not? Because Cody Rhodes goes back to back, winning the 2023 and 2024 men's Royal Rumble matches. I'm just going to put both Cody's in excellent. So 2023 men's Royal Rumble match. Cody Rhodes was phenomenal in this match. They made him feel like such a star. The Hell in a Cell match was the star-making performance, or like I think that took him from here to here, but this Royal Rumble victory took him from here to here. Gunther started the match at number 1 and lasted until the very end alongside Cody Rhodes. He lasted an hour and 11 minutes. Broke the record by a good amount. We're also not considering the greatest Royal Rumble. Fuck that shit. Logan Paul eliminated Seth Rollins, which kind of helped set up their match. Logan Paul had the spot with Ricochet where they both jumped off the ring ropes and collided midair. Ending of the match, Cody Gunther one-on-one for like 7 or 8 minutes. It was fantastic. And then we jumped to 2024 where we have a handful of people that could have won this match, but Cody Rhodes still wins it. Very safe winner. There were a good amount of people in this match that you could have made a fair argument to win this. But Cody Rhodes lost at WrestleMania 39. He needs to finish his fucking story. This goddamn story is just taking too damn long. The Final Four of Cody, Punk, Gunther, and Drew McIntyre, this Final Four, it took the match to the next level. I think the match leading up to it was good. Jay and Jimmy started. Carmelo and Braun Breaker made appearances from NXT, which was great. Cody and CM Punk one-on-one. I don't know how long they were in there together for, but just a really nice just one-on-one between the two. CM Punk going to hit the GTS on Cody saying, I didn't wait 10 years to lose to Dusty's kid. Cody Rhodes throws him over. Great moment. It had to be one of them. So now we have the last 2 Women's Royal Rumble matches. Starting with 2023, Rhea Ripley enters at number 1 and Liv Morgan enters at number 2. First time in a Women's Royal Rumble match where the number 1 and 2 entrants start and finish together. This was a good match. I think you could have had Asuka win this. I think you could have had Liv win this. But Rhea deserved it. I mentioned she came in second to Bianca years ago, and this was her moment. This set up the match with Charlotte at WrestleMania, the second match between the two, which she ended up winning in what was one of the matches of the year and one of the best women's matches in recent history. And then the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble, I'm putting this in excellent. Bayley fucking finally got her moment. She got her flowers. She broke the record for longest time for a woman in a match. This was setting up Bayley for a huge 2024. She won the WWE Women's Championship from Io Sky at WrestleMania that year because of the whole Damage Control storyline. We saw Jade Cargill debut. We saw Naomi return at number 2, only lasting a minute shorter than Bayley. Jordan Grace debuted or appeared from TNA Impact. He lasted 19 minutes, had 0 eliminations, but I expect that to change this year. Not announced, but Jordan Grace will be in the women's match this year, and I expect her to have a dominant performance. And then let me tell you about the last 8 women of this match. You have Roxanne, Becky Lynch, Naomi, Bianca, Tiffany, Jade, Liv, and Bayley. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you nuts? That is just an insane crop of talent. People say like the future is bright, but the future is now. In that moment, you saw all those superstars and you just thought, yeah, any one of those could have won, right? Like you could have made a fair case for those people, but 1, Bayley deserved it. And 2, just seeing that, I'd be like, the women's division is in such good hands. I do think the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble match is the best women's match of all time. I think the 2008 Royal Rumble match is my favorite, but I think the best Royal Rumble match of all time is 2001. I do think Stone Cold Steve Austin, that performance, everything that went along with it, I mentioned earlier, it was the best Rumble that I had watched my own two eyes. Wow, 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 wee wah. Okay, so this is my Royal Rumble match rankings. I enjoyed doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and please let me know in the comments what your favorite Royal Rumble match of all time is and what you think is the best Royal Rumble match of all time. There's a difference between favorite and best, but let me know in the comments what you would change here. Check out all the other videos on this platform. I will see you guys in just a few days because we will be back here for the greatest Royal Rumble winners of all time. I'm going to rank all the Royal Rumble winners, so keep your eye out for that. And until then, peace out.